Let us talk about Jupiter in Leo for all 12 zodiac signs. This is this video, which is part 2 of the Jupiter in Leo series. And so I'm going to be breaking down how it impacts all 12 signs, Aries through Pisces. And so what you want to do with this video is you want to watch for your sun, moon, and rising sign. If you don't know your moon and rising sign, you can go to astro.com and find that information. I mean, we all should know our sun sign, really, so... Okay, there we go. If you haven't seen part 1, where I discussed the transit of Jupiter and Leo in depth, I'd go back and see that so you get a good understanding of what this transit is actually about, the themes of it, all that, so that you can understand how it sort of interplays with this video and what I'm explaining when it comes to here. Right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Aries. I'm going to go in order from Aries to Pisces. Timestamps will be in the description and hopefully in this video, so you can fast forward to the timestamps, go to your sign. And so let us dive right into Aries first of all. So the very first thing that I want to discuss with Aries this is really about going after what you want with courage. Really being courageous, really being driven to do what you want to in your life. What do you want to do? What do you feel so passionate about that you want to just act upon? Could maybe a certain career choice you want to embark upon, maybe a certain hobby like my YouTube videos, or it could be, singing, or anything creative, or, I don't know, it could be drama. I mean, whatever it may be for you. This certain hobby may really be very good for what you have to offer. And so, what do you want to do that is where you are being very courageous and confident in this? Where you are being really independent in this kind of way, where you are showing your independence, you're showing your own individuality. You're going after what you uniquely want. You're not allowing others to sort of hold you back from that. You're really being sovereign with going after what is it that you want, Aries? I want to ask you, what is it that you want? Can you go after with the confidence? This year, between July 1st, July 27th of next year, can you pursue what you want with courage and confidence at this time really strongly? Now, you have individual needs, wants, and desires, Aries. And it isn't so much about going after what you want in terms of the individual things that you uniquely want. The things that you want to do in the world, the things that you want to achieve, the chase that you want to take down, the people that you want to take down, the kind of roads of, going about the world that you want to express. But it can be about self-expression. It can be about what you're expressing, what you're really putting forth in the world. And this is really prominent for you because self-expression is going to be your anchor point, your focal point. So how can you self-express? What are those ways? It could be ramping up the hill and climbing up and trudging up with the determination that you have to believe you can, like the little engine that could kind of thing, where, I think I can, I know I can kind of thing, believing in yourself. And so, where you can go after what you want and self-express. What kinds of things do you want to get off your chest as a part of being your authentic self? And now it's time to self-express to those things. Express those things fully without inhibitions, without anyone's approval or disapproval, without really caring what other people think of you, regardless. And this kind of reflects because I was in a conversation with an Aries the other day, as I mentioned on that previous video. And it was about the way that he was presenting himself with his particular content. And really, I do not want to restrict or inhibit or hold anyone back from being who they want to be. Nor do I want to be inauthentic and say that, I will participate in this endeavor, watch this content or whatever that I don't really like. Nor will I be inauthentic. And then the other thing is, with Aries, it can be very, very egoic, very self-righteous. It can take other people down in a way. It can really, really hurt others. It can really, really bulldoze others. So really, really being mindful not to take others down at this time. Not to prove sort of in an ego way that you are better than others. And I think that the relationship is based on authenticity and based on a soul-centered connection. And I think that's a very, very Aquarius age relationship, and I want to keep it that way. And so, anywhere where I am in my ego, I want to refrain from being in my ego. I don't want to live from my ego, because when we're in our egos, all the negativity, all the dislike, all the distrust, all the battles and the fighting, all the negative stuff in the world, why we have war, competition, why people are really, really mean to each other, is all based on the ego. So I want to refrain from being in my ego as much as I possibly can. And I think that other people can validate, like when we're in our egos and when we have said things that we didn't mean, or said things where we tried to prove that we are better than them, this and that was, in that kind of way. And it's really, Aries is about, Aries is best not ego and impulses, but it's intuition. And can you tap into what feels right? Can you tap into what feels right to you? And often, if you tap into your intuition and your soul, it won't be egoic based. It won't be based around that. So, what kind of self-expression do you want to express that is uninhibited? Where you're freely able to express this self-expression out, where you're being authentic. And what kind of connections do you have in your life? And are they based on authenticity? Are they based on truth? And so, this self-expression is, simply put, for you to be big and bold. And the final thing is, what are the things that you most want? What do you most want in your life? What are those desires? What are those goals? What are those plans? What are all those kind of things like that? And now is the year to make them happen. Now is the year to act on all these desires, all these wants, all these cravings, or, stirrups within you, to really, really, make them happen for yourself and take action on them. Taking action on what you want to make happen, your goals. And don't let anyone hold you back from taking action on what you want to take action on. This is a year for you to be really shine in your own light and in your own right. Really, really be your authentic self. So, what are the things that you most want in your life? What are you going to do to make them happen? Now, moving on to Taurus. How can you lead, people who make a lot of money, for instance, into making the most money? How can you really, really lead somebody to victory? Because Taurus knows how to work its magic in the material world. And it's really about, this is about being big and bold this year, Taurus. So how can you lead people into making money that is so big, so grand, so, so wonderful in this and that you can lead them into making a lot of money, that you can inspire them to greatness, you can put into their minds that you're capable of doing anything, whatever you believe you can achieve. You can do anything as long as you set your mind to it. These very, very earth, ego-based things that are positive. I mean, I'm not saying that the ego is all negative, but it can be positive. Like, you can do anything if you set your mind to it. That is something ego, because it's the mind, is the logic, but it's not a negative thing. So, sort of how this 3D world is, it requires reciprocation, it requires the co-creation, it requires you actually putting in the work and the effort to make it happen. So, and then working with spirit and the universe together, like you're working in tandem with the universe. That's how this 3D reality works. And so how can you lead the money makers into this? And then how can you lead the builders into building the biggest houses? How can you inspire others to build really, really prosperous lives for themselves and build really, really strong lives for themselves, where they are putting in 100% into their efforts, where they are really, really putting in all that they have to give and making things happen in the material world that is beyond their wildest dreams. So that's one thing. And then Taurus wants to become, Taurus is a really, really private sign because it just wants simplicity. It wants to hunker down. It wants to keep everything very battened down. It wants, the nice food, the nice simple pleasures, the nice creature comforts. It wants, nice drink. It wants music to listen to. It wants, people in its life to talk to. It wants, enough money to be there. But what if all that you do in the material world could receive recognition? What if you could actually be famous and recognized and celebrated and accomplished for all of the material efforts that you do to create the life that you want? Because it's really remarkable quality. Taurus works so hard to create comfort and security. So how can that working in your life to create comfort and security actually be recognized for yourself, where you could receive the recognition in that regard for all that effort? So how can you receive this kind of thing? And then the final thing is, what are your creative passions you have, or you can utilize your 5 senses to get the job done? Like art, like pottery, like sculpting. I mean, whatever is artistic endeavor that involves like your hands, your your nose, your whatever. During this time, it's good to get into these kind of creative passions, and utilizing your senses to do them. Like cooking, for instance. Maybe cooking is a creative passion. I knew a Taurus who loved to cook. And he said, oh, I'm not creative. He was actually a Leo North Node. And he said, I'm not very creative at all. I have, no creativity. Zilch, not a blank. No. I do believe he had the creativity in his cooking, in his, in that kind of area of his life, very Taurus-related areas of his life. Taurus kind of subject matters. So, what are the creative passions that may involve, like cooking, where you're using your senses, you're using your, your eyes, your nose, your, your taste, your touch to really, really cook the food and make the food really, really good. When it comes to, pureeing and sauteing and using your senses when it comes to, shopping, touching, tasting, all these things involved with food. So food might be a possibility, but what is a creative passion that you have where you can really, really use your senses to really, really get it accomplished? Okay, so then moving on to Gemini now. Now, for Gemini, how are you so focused on your intellectual, personal life, Gemini, How are you so focused on this life, for yourself? This, this kind of livelihood that you have it suction cupped onto the end of your nose. That you're so stuck in the material, so stuck in the familiar with what you're doing intellectually, what you're understanding, what you're taking on, what you're learning intellectually, what you are communicating in the direction that you're going in the world that is highly intellectual. And how can you expand your horizons? How can you get out of your horizons for way of doing this? How can you expand, learn something new, travel to a different place, read another book on a different subject, get out of the traditional things that you're learning about, the traditional people that you're talking to, the traditional conversations that you're having, and expand into something different, expand into something new, with what you are engaging in intellectually. Because Sagittarius, your opposite sign, says expand your horizons. So how can you, instead of listening to your head, follow your heart and learn about whatever you want to learn about? And a similar thing will be discussed with your opposite sign, Sagittarius, later on in this video. Now, the other thing with Gemini is, can you have more courage to speak your mind and speak your truth? Because Gemini often gets stifled when it comes to speaking its mind because it's afraid of what other people are going to think of it. It's afraid of being judged. It's afraid of being pushed down. It's afraid of being trampled on and walked all over because of what it says, and it's not being strong enough, and the others are going to be like, you shouldn't say that, rejecting of your ideas, rejecting of your philosophy, rejecting of your own opinions and thoughts and beliefs, and so you're afraid of expressing your truth because of this going on. So how can you have more courage to speak your mind at this time? Speak what's really, really going on intellectually for you on a, on a kind of mental level. And then speaking your truth, really, really speaking, your mind and your truth, what you have to say, honestly, what we have to put out into the world. That's what it really, really comes down to. And yeah. So, okay, so how can you have the courage to speak your mind, speak your truth, be very, very bold and loud in that kind of statement, and not be afraid to share what you want to share in your mind, not be afraid to share the information that you want, not be afraid to share what you authentically want to share there. And then what new risks do you want to do when it comes to trying out new books or new videos or new podcasts? Because now's the time to expand your mind. The message for Gemini here is to expand your mind, explore what you want to explore, read that new book, listen to that new video, watch that new video, listen to that new podcast. Anything where you can expand your mind and really, really make the most of the fun side of life. We're learning to you and educating yourself, and learning all this new information is fun for you. So really, really take advantage of that when it comes to all the learning that you can do, all the exploration that you can do on an intellectual level during this time, and have fun with it. And that's what I encourage you with in that regard. Okay, then now we're moving on to Cancer. So, how are you afraid to be yourself because you're afraid it will hurt your family or your loved ones, Cancer? There's often a fear of losing peace. There's often a fear of having the lack of peace be very, very in the handy for this thing going on. And, where, just doing what you want to share feels like if you were to go out and with your career, or with a job, or with a vocation, or with a, a skill, or an aspiration that you have for your life, You're afraid that your family is going to reject it. You're afraid of, so concerned with being the mother to everyone and taking care of everyone's emotional needs that you're not having the self-respect to say, I want to live this life. I want to build this life up for myself. I want to go out into the world and make things happen. I want to, detach and be prosperous and make a name for myself and make a legacy for myself and actually achieve something out in the world. And maybe certain things like having a YouTube channel or doing other kinds of things which involve self-expression. You're afraid of your family not liking it. Have you ever talked to your family about this way of self-expression? Have you ever talked to them about what you want to do out of the world? Because they might be open to it. They might very well be open to this means of self-expression. They might be open to this means of you being yourself. Just maybe you haven't brought it up with them yet. Maybe you haven't discussed with them this risk that you want to take in your life, this sort of windfall that you want to have. Not financial windfall, but like a windfall in terms of maybe, the new self-expression, the new authenticity that you are really acting upon in your life. So, how are you afraid to stand out and paint that painting, or write that book, or write in your journal, or play that origami game, or design something creative, or whatever you want to do in your home, because Cancer is tied to the home. Cancer is tied to the family. Maybe you're doing it in your home with your family, but it is you being able to self-express, being able to express what you want to express, Cancer. The next thing is, how can you really double down on emotions? How can you really, really focus on your own emotional well-being and take your emotions very, very seriously? Take your emotions seriously. Don't take your duties and responsibilities and your work so seriously, but take what you're feeling so seriously. Take what you're going through emotionally. Take all your emotions, be it sad, happy, mad, whatever. And really, really make them center stage for your life. Making them, center stage, making them very, very much center stage, where you are expressing these feelings fully and you're allowing yourself to express these feelings fully. Where have you held back your emotional self-expression? Where have you held back your emotional expression, your, mind, body, expression, what you need to express on an emotional level? Maybe this Jupiter and Leo transit can help you express all these things very, very emotionally, all these things very, very proudly and arrangedly, with all these emotions that you so want to express inside your heart, inside your soul, but maybe you've held yourself back from expressing these things. Time to bring them out now. And then where do you need to hand over yourself a little bit? Because Jupiter and Leo could make you feel like, I am more worthy to be nurtured and taken care of as opposed to others. I am more worthy to be nourished and cared for and loved and cherished than others. So where can you take care of yourself, fill up your own cup, nurture your own vessel? Where can you receive the other people's nurturing that they give to you? How can you nurture the others in your life? How can you be there for others when it comes to what they need emotionally, and really, really taking care and being accountable of their emotional needs and really, really being responsible for that, and nurturing that in a kind of really, really promotes way? And also, how can you understand with the humility and with acceptance that you are just as worthy to be nurtured and taken care of as anyone else? Leo energy can be very, very entitled and arrogant, or can feel like it's more worthy to shine than than anyone else. And so Jupiter and Leo could be having you feel like, I am more worthy to be nurtured and emotionally taken care of and have my emotional needs met than anyone else, and everyone should drop everything and fend for my own emotional needs. No. The world does not completely revolve around you. The world revolves around everyone equally. So you're just a small little speck of the world. And you have a whole universe inside you, but you are not the whole of the universe. So, how can you understand this and find solace in this? And, and be nurtured, take care of yourself, receive nurturing, but not think and not have the mindset and the mentality and the attitude that you are more worthy to be nurtured than anyone else. Okay, so, Leo. Now, with Leo, what I want to talk about with Leo now is Leo has a need to shine. Express itself really, really strongly. Be itself fully. Want to shine its creative gifts. Want to be very, very big and bold. And want to be in its creative power. Leo wants to be in its creative power with what it's doing and how it wants to put itself out there. And it wants to shine and be in the center stage and be in the center spotlight. And Leo is so heart-centered and express its creative gifts. The downside of Leo, the issue here when it comes to Leo is where, you are feeling so good about yourself and feeling so good about shining, expressing yourself, that you see somebody who you feel is less than you, who you feel superior of, and you make it clear to them in one way or another that you are superior towards them, and you become very, very arrogant, you become very, very disrespectful towards them in a kind of way. So, with this quality, Leo, it's very, very important to be mindful and be aware of this kind of quality so that you don't get it out of check and out of balance. So, with this kind of quality, going on here, needs to be put at the top of the chart, really, where where you are you are expressing yourself fully, expressing yourself unapologetically, being in your own light. But one of the lessons of Leo is authenticity. Knowing that every single person is equal. Every single person is worthy of being authentic. Every single person, everyone is worthy of shining in their own light as well, and expressing their creative gifts and expressing their heart's desire and doing what they want to in their life and living the life that they want to. And there's this quality with Leo of becoming really, really egoic, of controlling others and judging them and putting others down because they express themselves in their own light and you don't like it, so you egoically in your mind make yourself better and superior to others. And this is not right. This needs to be brought into some kind of awareness, some kind of compassion, just some kind of acceptance, and to really, really wrap this with compassion to understand that this tendency to become really, really egoically arrogant is not the high road of Leo. And really during this transit, the whole course for most of this transit, save for the first 27 days of July, the South Node, from the 28th of July to the really the 27th of March of 2028. So beyond Jupiter and Leo, the South Node is going to be in Leo. This is going to be bringing to light the shadow sides of the sign, the shadow qualities, the shadow attributes. Shadow expressions of Leo. And one of those can be excessive pride, hubris, arrogance, that kind of thing like that. So being mindful of that. So being mindful of going over the top with your confidence, where this quality of being really, really arrogant, of being very, very self-centered, being really, really selfish, can hurt relationships, can really, really put a dent in relationships. And how this quality can put a dent in relationships is you are expressing yourself really, really high on your mountaintop. You're bringing all this to everyone's attention. You are bringing to everyone's attention how special you are, how great you are, how beautiful, how magnanimous you are. And you want everyone to know about it. And you want to take others down because you want to be better. You want to lift yourself up. You want to raise yourself up. And you want to be superior to them. That is an insecurity about the self. That is feeling insecure about yourself when you put others down and make yourself superior because you don't feel like you're enough. You have to take others down to make yourself superior and enough. So, it's very, very mindful to keep everything in check during this time. Keep all these arrogant qualities of going over the top, of being very, loud and, dramatic and, whatever. When it comes to your confidence that you express, and how this confidence can have this overconfidence, not confidence, but overconfidence, arrogance, can hurt relationships where you're not cooperative, you're not considering others, you're not considering the perspectives of others. And it's not that you are in your soul, Leo, and you are doing what you feel is right to do, and they're just not respecting it. You already know that what you're doing is wrong. You already are perfectly aware of it. They're just validating it with what they're saying. And, and so it's time to look at that area of like, okay, where have I been overly arrogant? And see if I can turn that around into something kinder, more loving, more true for you, that is not operating from a false sense of self. Because we want to release the false sense of self that we are expressing and move into the upside of our true sense of self. So then finally, what is that creative passion that you feel so passionately about, Leo? What is that thing that you want to do that in your heart that you feel so good about? That creative hobby that, could be, anything creative, building something, planting a garden, cooking, drawing, writing, whatever the creative thing is that you're passionate about. Maybe you've hidden it away. Maybe you've kept it under a bushel. Maybe you're afraid of what others are going to think of you, if others are going to judge you, or others are going to shame you or reject you for expressing this quality and bringing it out. But now is the time to really, really open it up and be very, very willing and transparent with it, and be very, very forthcoming with it, and express this creative quality that you've hidden away. We're not afraid to express this creative gift. We're not afraid to express this creative passion or this creative hobby or whatever. So it's time to bring it out, time to lift it out of the shadows and really, really make it, reality for you. Now, Virgo. Now, Virgos make great teachers because they're very about educating students. Because that's one of the things that I haven't discussed with Virgos, that they make great teachers. Yes, they're very, very detailed. They know how to get things done. They know how to be efficient, get things done on time. They're very about the lists and the structure and the order of when it comes to a classroom. So they keep a very, very orderly, neat, tidy, systematic classroom. And they can be great educators because they want to serve others. They want to serve other people. They want to serve humanity. They want to make a positive impact and difference in their lives. So how can you serve children? Because Virgo, remember, is a sign of service. It wishes to serve. It has a heartfelt desire to serve. And so with this energy, how can you serve children and work with them with the playful element, along with them. So, how can you do this? How can you serve and teach children the necessary skills in a classroom if you're a Virgo and you're a teacher watching this? And you teach students, like you educate students how to, go about their lives and going about the way of the world and what they're, doing with all their, all their skills of what they need to learn. But what about adding some fun, adding some play into that learning, adding some unstructured time in that learning, added some creativity and authenticity into that. So consider how you can bring that into the mix. And then how can you feel confident and worthy about doing exactly what you want? How can you really, really go after what it is that you want? Where you're so secure within yourself that you're doing your creative hobby, that you're doing your creative passion, because Leo is about creative passions. And so you're doing this creative passion, you're bringing it out in a way where you're not allowing the pesky details of life, the papers to grade, the bills to pay, the trash that needs to be taken out, the kitchen that needs to be cleaned up, the yard that needs to be mowed. I mean, all these little details where, yes, you're taking care of those details, but you're not allowing these details to interfere with what you want to do creatively, with what you want to do fun. It's really all about me moving yourself. I just have all these piles of details up in my life, and I can't put them aside because these are very important. Yes, they are. But can you balance it out with the creative elements of your life? Can you balance that with what you want to do creatively, with what you want to express from your heart-centered energy? And that's what you're being invited to consider really, really moving into at this time, is expressing this all really, really creatively, expressing it in a really, really deep, profound way where you are really showing out your creativity when it comes to what you want to do on that level. And then, who in life are you devoted to? What are you devoted to? What are you really committed to and driven to achieve? That your heart is completely in it. You're completely driven. You're completely, devoted to this thing, devoted to this person. And can you serve them? Because Virgo is about service. Virgo wants to serve. Virgo wants to make a difference. But Virgo, can you serve them from a heart-centered place instead of a ego-logical place, instead of the need to always be there to take care of all the details because this person needs this thing at this time and this has to be done at this time and I have to take care of them in this way, like all the details of the egoic mind. But can you serve them because you genuinely want to? Can you serve them because it feels right? Can you serve them because you genuinely want to serve, and your desire to serve and your genuine quality makes you perfect? You don't need to prove how perfect you are. You don't need to improve yourself that much more than your desire to serve, Virgo, because that's what completes you. That's what makes the whole of who you are. So it makes so much of who you are. So can you use your desire to serve as a high road of serving from a heart-centered place, instead of from, needing to always be there, always needing to be accountable, always needing to be responsible, always being the needs meter of meeting needs, of, of always having to take care of everybody, micromanage and this and that. Serving them in those positive ways can really, really do a lot of good for you in your life. Now, we're moving on to the second part of the zodiac wheel. We're starting with Libra. So with Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, I'm going to talk about some things with Libra that I haven't previously discussed with this sign as of yet. So, the very, very first thing is, how do you want to be admired in your life? What do you want to be recognized for? What do you individually want to be known for in your life? With the personal beauty and the charm that you want to create. Maybe it could be an actor. Maybe it could be an artist. Maybe it could be a diplomat, or a flower arranger, or some type of thing with a healthy, green, beautiful cook. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can think about. And Julie Andrews is a Libra sun who was very, very beautiful and charming in how she acted. She has a very, very charming, articulate voice, singing voice, and I just love her voice. She sings so beautifully. and what kind of personal beauty do you want to be known for? What kind of contribution do you want to make? That is, you're expressing your personal beauty, you're expressing your personal, your personal sort of mark on the world with that kind of thing, with that charm. So that's the very first thing. And what are your personal passions that you want to go after? What are your personal passions when it comes to art and beauty? It could be painting, it could be dancing, it could be pottery, it could be all these kind of things like that. What are your personal passions? And how do you want to create beauty for yourself in your life? How do you want to really, really act on beauty and really, really create that for yourself? What kind of beauty do you want to create? And so, because Libra is very, very ruled by Venus, it's very, very creative. It wants beauty, it wants art. Creates great paintings, great music. Libra is found in the charts of a lot of artists, so is Taurus and Pisces influences. It's very, very much about maybe designing a home, or fashion, or like diamonds are girls' best friends kind of thing with Libra. What do you want to create in terms of your personal passions when it comes to art and beauty? And how do you want to create beauty? How do you want to create the beauty in your life that you want to instill within yourself? And then what kind of creative field that involves how artistic you can be is opening up for you now. Because remember, Leo is a creative sign, so that's why I'm talking to you about creativity. So what kind of creative field is opening up for you now? Because a lot of the creative fields during Jupiter and Leo can really, really expand for you at this time. So, what kind of field that is creative is opening up for you now. Now moving on to Scorpio. So, Jupiter is going to be squaring you during this time. During this period of time with Jupiter and Leo, it's going to form a square to you. So, the square is going to bring to light the two different types of drama. Like, really, really consider the drama that you are embarking on and enacting upon in your life. Is it the kind of drama that's really, really, fun and playful and heartfelt and expressive, and you get a lot of pleasure and joy from it, where you are in your own business, where it is not vindictive, vicious, it is for your own creative self-expression. It is for you to express your emotions that you feel inside your heart. Or is it drama where you have the knife and you're just putting it backstage and you're just hitting somebody with the knife backstage? That can be, really, really huge for you. And so, so there's this need to backstab others with this knight. There's a need to hurt others with this, with this need for drama. And how can you throw away the knife and instead focus on the more fun and playful elements of putting on a show instead of the mean, evil, dramatic aspects of it? I mean, you focus on the positive side of it with putting on a show in positive kind of ways with whatever you are doing. And then how can you uplift others through their darkest moments? Because Scorpio really, really is a very, very uplifting sign. It can really, really lead others through what it can really, really do. It can lead others through their darkest times, through their darkest hours, through the darkest moments. It can really, really support others in being their own light in the storm. It can really, really support others in walking through their struggles, and walking through their pain, and walking through their sorrow, and walking through their turmoil, or whatever. It can really, really support other people in this way. And so that's a beautiful quality with Scorpio. So how can you be with them? Hold their hand. Because Scorpio, this is a beautiful quality. I love this about Scorpio. They're so deeply compassionate and understanding. It's like, I've been there, I understand, I get you where you're coming from. And they understand the duality of life, that you can experience happiness and joy and positivity without going through the darker, more sorrowful, more depressing, more difficult experiences in life. And so, how can you uplift others through these really, really dark times and introduce them toward the light, introduce them toward all these kind of things, and light the way for them to heal themselves, inspire them to heal themselves and become better at, healing their own shadows, healing their own patterns and this and that. So, that's what it can really, really be for Scorpio. And then the final thing is, how are you not giving the other... Okay, so this is a negative tendency of Scorpio from Jen Spiller's book, is not giving the other what they want. And what this means is that you are so tightly attached to playing power games, having control, needing to withhold somebody, trying to... being very, very into others' business, that you just like to push their buttons, and you just like the drama, and you just like the fun, and getting a kick, and getting entertainment out of challenging them and playing a power game where you have more power and trying to win over the power against the other, where you're in their business. If you were really not in other people's business and you were solely in your own business, you would give the other what they want and mind your own business and go about what you want. Not withholding from them, because you withholding something that they have is you getting into their business. So can you just stop the whole tendency of not giving the other what they want as a result of playing the ego power game, playing the power game of, withholding things and keeping things and, inside yourself. So how can you release the attachment and control to keeping all these things and not letting them go and not letting others have what they want, in order to create more peace, more simplicity, more tranquility, more balance, more harmony in your relationships and in your life? So that's what it can really, really be there when it comes to that. So then moving on to Sagittarius. So with Sagittarius, here's the thing with Sagittarius. It's a sign that's ruled by Jupiter. It is a sign that is ruled by Jupiter. It is ruled by benevolence. It is ruled by a planet that has such moral principles, lives with integrity, does things for the sake of good, for the sake of wanting to be generous, for the sake of wanting to give, really, really operates with the great philosophical mind, where they have a lot of dignity and integrity in their sort of way of going about their life. So, so how can you steer your own ship? How can you have your own ship when it comes to, you know, what you're doing, and you know, and all that you are doing in your life with what you want to do and how you want to live your life. So you know, how can you steer your own ship with the benevolence and integrity that you have inside of you, that you really have inside of you? Whatever you do out in the world, can you do it with integrity and benevolence? And I'm going to discuss benevolence, because Jupiter is very benevolent in its nature. It's the desire to do good to others, be very good to others. It is being generous, being very kind. And so, can you be benevolent in your pursuits? Can you not, you know, say blunt truth for an ego way, but can you say blunt truth because you want to inspire, wake others up, and you want to light the way for authenticity for them? And compassion is also benevolent. So how can you show more benevolence in your life? You use the Jupiter quality of the benevolent energy of, you know, of Jupiter to really be in that energy of benevolence. And so, you know, then the next thing is, what do you want to explore that you've always wanted to explore, Sagittarius? What do you want to explore you've always wanted to? It's time to follow your heart and go in that direction. I mean, whatever you want to, you know, experience in your life and undertake and go through and have in your life, be in a circumstance, this is the time to really to really follow your heart and be in the energy of heartfelt energy. And really go in that direction of, you know, exploring what your heart wants you to do, to follow the call of your heart. And not only, you know, exploring what you want to explore, but you know, doing it because you feel inspired to. You know, you want to explore this. You want to learn this new thing. You want to travel to this new place. You want to go in this new website or whatever, and however you want to expand your mind and explore. I talked with Gemini about getting out of their small-minded quality of just focusing on their everyday immediate environment. But how can you explore what you've always wanted? I'm kind of repeating myself here. So moving on to my next point. Can you shoot your arrow into the skies and go after what you've always wanted? Can you go after what your heart always wanted? Can you follow your heart? What is it that you've always wanted to do? What creative passion, what self-expression have you always wanted to do? What kind of thing that you wanted to learn about? What kind of philosophy? Like Leo is about the heart. And Leo is about going after what is in your heart. So what is in your heart that you've always wanted to do? The place that you've always wanted to go. Now's the time to really make that happen and shoot the arrow in that kind of place. And then Capricorn. So we're getting towards the end here. So Capricorn, this is really about, when it comes to Capricorn, leading with dignity. Leading with dignity And instead of bringing others down into harsh realities, Capricorn, instead of making them feel very, very harsh in terms of their realities, that they are living, can you inspire and uplift them to empower themselves? So I'm going to break this down. How can you, and I'm going to look up dignity to define it, to define that word. Dignity is based off of a feeling of worthiness. Worthy, of respect and being treated right. Okay. So, yeah. So, knowing that you are worthy. You're worthy of self-respect. You're worthy of going after your goals. You're worthy of making things happen, building the life that you want, going after your long-term goals, and all these kind of things like that. And instead of bringing others down into harsh realities, into this is the way life is, it's a very, very dark place, you have to work so hard, things don't come easy, you have to earn it, it's a huge struggle, you have to suffer a lot in life, you won't get a lot of good things in life, like all these negative narratives that you carry around. Instead, this is not very empowering. This is very, very degrading, and very, very, this can hurt others' self-esteem. This can hurt others' sense of self-confidence that they have about themselves because, life is so difficult, and you're just reminding them, you're a realist, Capricorn. You are a realist. But the downside of being a realist is that you're so focused on the negative aspects of life. Like, part of being a realist is also seeing the positives and the potentials, because there's also that element of life. So it's great that you're a realist. It's great that you face reality. It's great that you see things as they are, but be mindful of how you are projecting this onto others. And if you are leading them down into a very, very harsh, negative reality where they have to, where it takes a lot of struggle, a lot of hard work, a lot of this, a lot of that. And instead, can you inspire them that you can achieve anything you put your mind to? You can co-create your life with spirit. You can, inspiring them to become empowered to go after what they want, empowered to follow their heart, empowered to do all these kind of things with living the life that they want. And then, the other thing is, how can you be recognized and admired, Capricorn? How can you be recognized and admired? Will you receive certain things while doing, how can you be recognized for who you are and what you want to do in terms of your talents and your abilities? But, receiving certain things, receiving certain acknowledgments, but not just doing these things for the prestige and the fame and the attention and and the whatever. So, how can you do all of this for the sole purpose of just because it feels true for you? Just because you want to do it, just because you want to serve the world in this way, just because, and humble service can be one of the ways, just authenticity can be another one of the ways, but not doing it just to receive the validation and the prestige, because Capricorn can get so caught up in its image, it can get so caught up in its status, how it's seen by others, it can kind of want the recognition, want very, very high sense of self-importance. And I would almost say arrogance with this, because, this quality of just needing all this attention, needing all this fame is really, really, going to set you back with a lot of these things. And so this need to always have this is not always a positive thing. Yes, receive it when you get it, but don't be dependent on the recognition and admiration. So then, finally, what are you passionate about? What are you truly passionate about, Capricorn? I mean, I want to ask you, what are you truly passionate about that you can turn into a long-term goal? You can turn this passion, this, this hobby, this, whatever, into a long-term goal, into a long-term endeavor. It could be teaching, it could be art. Like I know someone in my life with a Capricorn stellium, she is currently prepping for her art history classes, so that's what, she wants to do. But it could be, a business of something that you feel really passionate about, a clothing business, a cupcake business, or whatever. Capricorn can get in there and knows the rights of business, knows the rights of getting the work done, is very, very professional with whatever area. It could be creative, it could be, logical, it could be functional, it could be whatever. It knows how to make it the best it can be. Capricorn wants the best. Capricorn wants to take it seriously. So what are you passionate about that you can actually turn into a long-term goal? If you're just at a job that you just hate, and you're just doing it because, you're getting a lot of money from it, and and it's paying the bills, but you just hate it, and it's not in alignment with your own soul desires and your own authenticity and your creative self-expression, now's the time to break out of that job. Move away from that job to move into something more aligned with your own creative desires. Because Jupiter and Leo is going to illuminate where you've not been true to yourself. So now's the time to be true to yourself and really, really, live that out. And so make sure the foundations that you're building upon are based on your passions. Make sure that whatever your career you're doing, whatever job that you're doing, whatever status, that you're doing, whatever, career that you put yourself in, is based off of what you're passionate about, what you feel really, really strongly about, what really, really lights you up. So that's really important. Now moving on to Aquarius. One of the shadow sides of Aquarius, I've talked about this before, is where you feel like you don't have enough information, enough facts, enough evidence to truly take action. You don't have enough to take action, and instead you take, and so instead of waiting for all the facts, all the details of the, all the information to validate you needing to take action, how can you, take action on your goals and your dreams? How can you take action on your, what you desire for yourself in your own life when it comes to, like, I want to go after this. I have this desire to serve this human welfare, this cause over here. I have this desire to save the animal kingdom. I have this desire to set this trend. I had this desire to create this new style of dance. I mean, all these kind of things that you want to, and Aquarius is very, very original. Aquarius breaks out of the box. Aquarius does things its own way, and it has its own unique style and own unique invention with whatever it wants to do creatively. So, how can you stop relying on enough information to be able to take action and instead take action on your goals and your dreams, on what you really truly want to take action upon? That's really, really important now. So moving on to my next point. Aquarius tends to rebel against its own identity. Aquarius is like, I don't want to be identified with anything. I just want to be liberated from the whole, because Leo wants to be known for something. Leo, the opposite side of Aquarius, wants to be recognized and seen and wants other people to know who they are. Aquarius doesn't want other people to know who they are. They want to rebel against who they are and completely be liberated and detached from themselves, their heart energy, and they want to be free up in the mind, learn, explore, do whatever. And there is this need to rebel with Aquarius energy. And so instead, can you choose to use, because Jupiter in Leo is going to be making an opposition to you. This opposition to you, is going to, this opposition is going to ask you to show up in the world with what you want to do that is creative, that is out of the box, but being known for it, be celebrated for it. There's nothing wrong with being known for something, Aquarius. There's nothing wrong from shining in your own light and having it be acknowledged. Like the opposite sign of Leo wants to shine, wants to be, seen, and wants the applause and wants the attention and all of that. So, how can, you're so great at not needing the attention, but then how can you tap into your own heart-centered gifts? How can you tap into your own truth, your own beliefs, your own desires, and really, really acting from that place to do what you really want in that way? And then, what can you do that's original? That's your own creation, as I said before. Your own invention, your own way of being, your own idea. That no one has ever done before. Something new that you're creating, that you're putting into life, that no one has done before. So can you put your own unique stamp on it? Can you put your own name on it? And really, really do that thing with a lot of pride and with a lot of energy to be able to do what is, what is original for you, what is original to you. So, can you do what is what you originally want to do? And in that way, you are really embodying that. So then finally, Pisces. During this Jupiter and Leo transit, can you move away from the ego at this time? You're moving away from the ego. Because Pisces is not really, and you're wondering, like, why am I bringing up the ego to Pisces? Well, Pisces is not, really identified with the ego because it's really, really separate from that. It's egoless. It's an egoless sign. It's a selfless sign. And so, can you move away? Like any tendency to become, and we all have egos. Even you have an ego, and maybe your ego is more soulful ego, more selfless, more spiritual, more compassionate. But don't get caught in. I don't know how much Leo or fire energy you have in your chart, but really, really remain selfless, remain soulful. Be so loving and kind and benevolent. That, and I used that word with Sagittarius previously, which is also a sign that is also ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is your ancient ruler. Jupiter is your ancient ruling planet. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, and Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. So, can you be in the soulful being that is so incredibly genuine? That is so genuine with, be genuine, be heartfelt, be all that. And then, now this is about participation. Now, Pisces does not want to participate because it wants to be in the dream and the reflective state, and it doesn't want to associate. It wants to dissociate from this world of what is going on, and because it wants freedom and liberation from this world. If a spaceship were to land on Earth, Pisces would be the first one to board because they just want out. They just want an escape. This world is so heavy, so difficult for them with all the wars going on, with all the this going on, and all the hatred going on. Like, they want a more compassionate and loving world. That's what they really want on a soul level. Like they really crave that. And so, this is about participating in the world. And Pisces, I know it's very, very hard to participate. I know you want to reflect and escape, but can you show up just enough during this time, just enough where you can connect with those in your life that truly care about you, that truly value you, that truly love you for who you are, to be able to share with someone close to you, what you're feeling, what it is, that you're feeling, without being afraid of judgment, without being afraid of the other judging you, or without being held back by this judgment, or without being afraid of what the other is going to think of you in terms of judging you for whatever you try to express. Because Pisces doesn't want to be judged. It hates when everyone is so judgy and so, critical, and it doesn't want to judge others. So there is this thing with Pisces where if somebody actually forgives the Pisces individual, then they feel undeserving of that, because then they have to prove themselves. They have to prove how that they can be better in someone else's eyes. And so there's something about that with the Pisces South Node, especially. But with this transit, which is the Leo, the Jupiter and Leo transit, can you be share what you're really feeling without the fear of others criticizing it? And then finally, how can you turn your creative dreams into visions? And I want to say that the ones who really care about you won't judge you. Or can you just allow a space, be in a place where others will hold space for you have to say, not judge you? So how can you turn your creative dreams into visions during this time? Into visions, into fuel for your own personal self-expression. So, how can you, turning your dreams and visions and expressing these dreams, speaking to them, writing about them, singing about them, doing whatever, letting these dreams out of their cage, not being so private and keeping these dreams hidden and keeping these, desires hidden with what you want to do out in the world, with, really what you want for the world. All these dreams, like Pisces, can be so, holding it all in a very, very quiet space. But this is about getting out and expressing this, and actually taking those dreams and acting on them enough to express them, expressing these dreams out into the world. And it does come with acting on them, but expressing these dreams, making them known to yourself and others, is really the first step to really, really embody these dreams. And to really, really make these dreams known, and to name and claim the dreams and the visions that you have for your life, and possibly the lives of others. So that is what I want to say to Pisces and all the signs for Jupiter and Leo. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you got something out of your reading. I will see you in tomorrow's podcast, which will be the monthly overview for the month of July, I do believe. Where I'll be discussing that in depth. So the July monthly overview is what I will be discussing in depth in tomorrow's podcast. I'm going through some of the transits of July, maybe not all of them, maybe not all of them I'll talk about, or I won't get to all the videos that I'll be doing for July, but I'll be breaking it down into several different types of things that I will be discussing for the month, just giving you a monthly overview of what to expect for the month of major astrology of July. The monthly overview is coming tomorrow. The collective overview, maybe I'll do the 12 signs, but maybe I'll save that until the 28th of July. And then I will officially get into the July astrology videos coming up, right after that. And I want to talk about a lot of the aspects, the major aspects going on in July, including the first of which is Jupiter square Chiron. I want to do videos on that. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy this Jupiter and Leo transit. Be bold, self-express, be true to yourself, shine in your own light. And I will see you in the next episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast. Take care of yourself.